Okay then. So, welcome to this campaign. Welcome to the campaign Chains of Asmodeus. Just going to read the story introduction. What now? What future lies for you broken souls, now all your hope is gone? When the devils rise and trample over what you cherished, when sickness and death devour the light, where can you hide? Through frost and flame, through filth and fortune, will you have the strength to stop affliction, to reach out and rescue those you love? Or the depths devour you, and leave you to join the ranks of the damned? Through a hero's journey will you earn your freedom, or be bound eternally by the chains of Asmodeus? So, before we start, why don't you guys introduce your characters? Oh, I don't see your character tokens. Cash.
Well, I will be playing Mek Gong, a uh, 8th level College of Valor half-orc uh, who finds himself kind of in a quite predicament.
Beautiful. Is that all you've got, Cash? Or
I think I'd say more for when we meet each other. He's just kind of like a taller, thicker built, large tusked half orc.
gorgeous? Then,
Quintessential orc vibe.
beautifully orcish orc. So, Zeno, why don't we hear your character?
Yeah, I'm going to be playing Ella Blightbearer. That's trickier to say than I thought. A human cleric slash apothecary multi-class, which is a class from the dungeons of Drakkenheim, kind of third-party source book. And she is like a cleric that specializes in healing and then also inflicting like diseases and other conditions. And yeah, she's I guess I'll describe her when we get to that. Yeah, she's very much kind of a cleric of Ilmater taken to kind of what I thought was kind of the logical uh, stream there.
Fabulous. And finally, Dan.
Yeah, I'm playing Toric, who is a strong 7 foot tall, overbearing warrior. He's gruff and has little taste for rebels, liars, tricksters, magical types, most other people, really. Um, and although he doesn't mind downing a flagon of ale, he tends to settle most of his issues with steel. He's 5 levels of Path of the Storm Herald Barbarian and 3 of Oath of Vengeance Paladin.
Ooh.
Um, Fury and righteousness in some.
Okay then. So, we have our three characters, Mek Gong, Ella Blightbearer, and Toric Helgaskin. Okay then. Now we begin. Cash, or Mek Gong, you feel like you're waking, or everything is hazy, strange, and groggy. You're wet, sort of, possibly heavily sweaty. You feel exhausted, and to the side there's this sharp pain sort of catching you.
Uh,
All around you, in this heavily filled inn, there's this toing and froing of cheers and applause, as if they're directed towards you. You sit on a table, and across from you sit three smiling figures, your friends Sargeo, Julian, and Scales. Sargeo, a fat bullywug, hands you a stein overflowing with ale.
hmm.
Come on, mate. You won 'em for us.
Yeah, I'm just feeling a little groggy. Takes the flask and or cask and just downs it in one gulp, trying to impress whatever or whoever may be watching.
Your three friends start to sort of bang the table, cheering. The crowd around you loves it as if it's another part of a performance. They start cheering even louder. Yeah, it's just there's this amazing buzz in this room.
I let down another as I hop on the table and pull out my lyre and begin a little song.
A bosomy bar wench sidles up towards you all, refills your stein. She stands there enjoying your dancing.
Yeah. I feeling a bit groggy, kind of trying to play it off as performance. I look around. Uh, what what does Mek remember last doing?
As you try to think, and as you're sort of dancing, you're sort of wincing through this pain in your side. You remember this dark hooded figure. Couldn't see his face, but these sharp, shining white eyes sort of glistening in the darkness. Remember the promise of an adventure? Remember the figures around you? You remember arriving at this port? All of these things are so vague and hazy. It's like well, as you remember them, it's like having water in your hands and then it falls out again.
I kind of think stop dancing for a second and let my thoughts speak aloud for a second. And I guess anyone listening just hears Mek go, "Did I meet God?"
Your friend Julian turns towards you. That's what some people call me, friend.
No, no, well, feeling a bit worried. I think Mek's gonna rush off to the latrine, the washroom. Kind of just hop off the table, push past the barmaid coming with his drink, and kind of head over to the
No!
washroom.
That's it.
Uh, Mek's just gonna wash his face and check that pain on the side of his chest.
Wash your face and you still feel just unpleasantly wet, like you're sort of soaking to your skin. You look down at your chest and you don't see anything visible on your sort of taut, hard, muscled form.
Still feeling that pain though,
Okay.
eh? I think Mek's just gonna look to himself and does it seem like something that I could heal with magic? Like most wounds he's taken, he usually just heals himself up with it.
You're welcome to try.
I guess I will. I'll pop a just look myself in the eyes in the mirror and go, "Tonight is your night. We don't fall like this." And I'll cast Healing Word on myself.
As you do, it's sort of maybe there's almost a placebo effect on some. It slightly feels better, but it still just feels deeply painful. Just sort of somewhere deep inside you, you feel this pain.
Uh, uh, I'm gonna go rush over, uh, back to the trio, just kind of drenched in the water from washing my face, and
Ew! The barmaid says.
uh, I grab the stein off her, thinking, Go away, woman." Come over to my three buddies, Bullywog and Fallen Asimar and a little dragonborn guy. I, before I even say anything, I down the whole flagon again and so kind of continue on. What do you guys remember? I feel like something's wrong. I feel like I've seen something I shouldn't have seen.
Julian turns towards you. You know, you really should be taking this in. When you write the epic of our adventure, I want the details as good as you can get them. I think a really good name for our adventure would be The Adventures of Julian. How do you think about it?
It's an okay title for a biography about you, but for our group, not so much. But he does kind of jot it down a little bit just in case Julian befalls a fate of his own. Uh, I'll keep it in mind. Um, uh, but maybe you're right. Sit down in at the table, try to shake off this like pain and sweatiness. Uh, Look to my party and go. Maybe a better name for adventure should be based off where we're going. Seems a bit horrible, and there's lots of tombs, so perhaps the Tomb of Horrors.
Julian's Tomb of Horrors it is. And he tries to give you a high five.
I think Mek's just gonna completely sideline that high five. Right. Party on then. Shall sing songs late into the night and wake up in the midday or the noon, or if we're lucky, not at all.
Party cheers. They roar with assent as the Bullywug and the Dragonkin. It's like they're having a discussion. Sargeo the Bullywug says, "Look, we're going to split the money equally. It'll be 50, 50, 50, 50." As he points to all four of you. "You'll get our fair share."
That sounds right.
Scales just sort of shakes his head sadly. "Don't you worry. I'll get my 50. Don't you worry at all."
Right, we're all gonna get our 50. I don't really worry. It's not my thing. Um, but remind me again. What are we getting this 50s from?
Temple. Chelt.
Oh,
Salgeo, slapping him on the back. One of his hands, he's ordered this. It's clearly like a family-sized bowl of eating insects. "Come on, you're looking sweaty. You should eat something."
yeah,
And he just sort of splats a mound of worms in front of you.
yeah. My mind's not exactly there. I guess I'm gonna dig into some worms, man.
As you eat them, they sort of delightfully wriggle between your heaving teeth. Sargo turns to you. "For what you gonna spend your share of the fortune, mate? What you gonna get?"
Well, fund more travels and hopefully put our stories in books of the highest libraries, the richest ones, and have our stories be told to the richest of children, and you know, those ones survive the longest, so our tale can be passed down even further.
Julian smiles. "Yes, my tale will live on. Great work. Great work." And your head is just sort of spinning. The alcohol that you drank is just starting to surge towards your head. You feel hazy, sleepy, and it's like you can barely cling on to consciousness.
I think at this point the barmaid comes back with one last one. He takes it, like downs it in one go, and maybe promptly passes out, unless you have anything to prevent that. But I think maybe that's where he's going.
As the thick darkness of unconsciousness captures you, you sort of sit there slumped till a voice wakens you. feel that you are not where you once were. Outside, you hear the crashing of waves. Let me just. Are you seeing the map? You're not seeing the map, are you?
I'm seeing a big old scary devil.
Okay. I need to get your guys over to them. Oh, here we are. And you see a boat.
I can.
I can see a boat.
Yeah.
I do want to know what, because I know you were scant on the details before, Cash, but I do want to know what Mek sort of looks like. Either as he's dancing on a table or splashing water on his face in a public restroom.
He's got like a short kind of flop of hair on top of his head, 5 o'clock shadow across his chiseled jawline, and 2 tusks kind of coming out. He's got like a Kelly green skin, where his hands are more forest green, and kind of it's forest green spotted up through his chest that you can see is kind of parted through like unbuttoned top 3 buttons. He's kind of got a deep V going on with his button up. Chest hair on top of that, and big lyre on his back.
Typical slugger bed. Casually kept.
This is my one character who's not a dirty little man.
Sorry, you may carry on.
You're finally playing out of character, Cash.
Yes.
As you're just sort of groggy, this pain in your side sort of stabbing you awake, you hear a voice repeating himself. Are you listening to me?
Maybe?
You open your eyes and it's like you're in a small cabin on a boat, sort of being rocked side to side. You can just smell the scent of salt air, grog, the smell of unwashed men. What did I just say?
Am I listening?
Across the chat, you're sitting at a table, and across from you, you see a hooded figure. You can't see his face, it's cloaked in darkness, but you see 2 white, shining eyes. How many days' walk is it to the temple?
Like, 8. 30. 8, but anywhere between 8 and 30.
Where can you find the Lich's staff?
Deep in its basement, there's a sarcophagus, and perhaps the skeleton might be holding it within.
You know, I wonder if there's any use for you at all. You see him stand up from the chair and just sort of walk back into the darkness of the cabin.
I can tell stories.
There's no response. You appeared.
Yeah. Sorry, continue.
Nope, there is no response as you sit in this dark sort of cabin.
Kind of looking around in this cabin. Do I see Julian, Scales, or Sergio?
Nope. But from behind you, you can hear just sort of getting louder and louder the sounds of voices, sort of cheering or chanting. It sounds like there's some sort of motion from behind you.
I'm gonna turn around and kind of investigate that a little bit.
You open the door. Oh, there's a door behind you, which you then open. You're on the deck of a ship. You see Sergeo leaning against one of the walls. Turns to you and says, "Where have you been then, mate? It's what you doing?"
talking to that guy, and kind of like gesture back into the room, unsure if they even see him. But Mek kind of scratches his head and goes, but weren't we just in like a tavern? Like we were celebrating me.
Sargeo, slightly concerned, sort of walks up to you, looks inside the room. Now that there's the light of the day in it, and it's just there's no one in there. We've we've been on the sea for 2 weeks. Let's look. Just eat something. You don't look well.
You said that last time. I just ate something. Yeah, it made me eat worms.
He was already had his hand outstretched with a big bag of worms, which he sort of slightly sheepishly pulls back to him. If you don't want them,
I'll take one. I grab like a couple. But you guys don't feel that sharp pain? None of you are feeling super sweaty?
look, yeah. Look, on your little performance, sort of cracked yourself down on the stage. I'm not sure it's mending properly.
Little performance, what are you talking about?
In the inn, it doesn't matter. Look, when Scales and Julian are done, I'll maybe the three of you should have a look at you. They're just a bit busy at the moment, fools.
I think just looking like confused to all hell just kind of peers out over the ocean. All right. I think he's kind of accepted he might be a little crazy.
Okay, just pats you on the shoulder. Look, this is going to be the adventure of our lives. It's going to be fantastic. Then his sort of attention gets sort of lost as he looks on the rest of the boat and says, "Oh God, what are they doing to each other now?"
I'm gonna look over to what he's talking about. What is he talking about?
In the middle of the boat, you see Scales and Julian. On the two sides of the boat, you see what is most of the crew just sort of cheering and chanting, sort of making wagers and bets, as Julian and Scales are just in wrestling. Sort of, perhaps it was once a friendly confrontation, but now it has become quite violent as the two of them are just crashing into one another.
Mek's gonna kind of rush over, acting as the glue of this group most of the time, and try to break up the two of them.
These sort of men ringing the combat just sort of hold out their arms. What are you doing? I've got money on this.
Yeah, but you know the rules of money fights. It's like we have sumo rules. We draw a ring, and whoever pushes who out wins. We don't draw blood. We don't fight to the death or anything like that.
There's no escaping this ring, mate. As he sort of moves his arm and lets you in.
Uh, what do you mean by that? You're being all sneaky.
Sort of his lips curve up as you just hear sort of resonating out the crack as Julian just lands a punch deep into Scales, a voice ringing out as the two of them are just wailing at one another.
Okay, you win. Stop the fight. Give him the money. You don't want to die.
The two of them are just sort of. Are you trying to physically separate them?
Yeah.
As you try and sort of wrestle the two of them apart from one another, the two of them are sort of wrapped around one another. One of them, you can't even tell who, one of their elbows just jabs straight into where you're in pain, and it just surges into you. You see stars, you see darkness covering your eyes as the pain blinds you.
I think I heel over on the side of the deck, and just kind of like fall to the ground, I guess, because that's some jolting pain.
From where you lay in the great distance, you see this wall of water, this heaving tidal wave come surging towards the boat.
Uh, dead wave! Dead wave! And try to alert the crew of this giant dead wave that most likely gonna crush us.
You see Julian and Scales fight. You see the men cheer and wager. You see the wave getting closer and closer. You feel it crashing against the boat. Your skin soaking wet as darkness consumes you. Ryan. Are you there, Ryan?
Oh yeah, can you hear me?
We can hear your beautiful Wisconsin twang.
Awesome.
Okay then. What music? Ella Blightbearer, you have journeyed far in your short life, and now, through twists of fate, you find yourself returning to your beginning, to the city of Baldur's Gate. You spent so long healing the sick, drinking away their agony, but never have you seen such pain as that which stalks the streets now. Through the slum of your childhood, the streets struggle under the weight of the gasping and the dying, for the poor ragged souls that scrape across the filthy cobble. Yeah, you're just sort of wandering the Baldur's Gate streets. It is dark, the few lamp lights there, barely casting illumination. Every now and then just stumbling against these heaving wretches.
Um, so I imagine I'm going towards wherever I know the Brotherhood would be in the city. Say they called me here, but seeing all these wretches, this plague that has taken over Baldur's Gate, um, can I look for who I think to be the most affected, the most pitiable, kind of the worst of the bunch, to try and heal?
There's about a lot of people are just sort of laying down. Many of them not moving, some of them still sort of with their sticks, dragging themselves across the streets. How are you trying to check for who's worst? I mean, what's
Oh, I think Ella is just looking for hmm, who's kind of in the most pain, I think. Who looks to be in the most agony. That would be best relief. So if anyone's like screaming or withering in pain or something like that, if anyone looks quite far gone, um, so imagine, yeah, she would just kind of go along the streets and just kind of, um, yeah, like walking through alleyways and things and just looking at people, checking them. She knows, well, she can only heal one person this day, for she has to save her other two spell slots for her parents, who she knows to be in the city.
you hear some people sort of shrieking out. Hear some people sort of moaning low, saying how they've lost all hope. You see some people simply not saying anything at all. Some unmoving, some barely moving, all around you. Just the heaving cries.
There are too many. Um, yeah, can I go to one of the ones that isn't moving? And just try and check and see if they're still alive.
You walk forwards. Well, what are you dressed as you walk the streets?
I think Ella is dressed in like kind of practical riding gear. She's wearing kind of like reddish pink gambeson. This kind of protective jacket over. You can hear chainmail like clink. She walks. She's pretty short, about 5'4". She looks to be in her early 20s, although she's kind of malnourished, so she might even look younger than that. She has this kind of blonde, wispy hair, and white pale skin, and her face is kind of gaunt. It is looks malnourished and kind of, if you look closely, in kind of the lantern light, you would see like scars from like pocks and pustules and boils. She's kind of holding looks to be a relatively battered shield. On it emblazoned the sign of Ilmater. This kind of well, one of the old signs of Ilmater. This empty, bloodied rack.
Person you move towards, the unmoving one. How are you checking them? What are you doing?
Kind of kneel down and kind of grab their shoulder. And I just say, "Friend, do you need healing? You all right?"
Person does not respond.
Kind of flip over and just check like their pulse.
As you reach to touch their pulse, you feel bloated and cold skin, sort of slimy with sweat and bodily excretions. This person is dead.
Yeah, I think Ella kind of becomes a little bit in shock at the dead lying in the street. At how far gone this thing is.
You may need to do something about your microphone. You're breaking up a bit.
Sorry, I'll turn myself up. Can you hear me better now?
Mm-hmm.
Could you just sort of 1 2 1 2 a bit?
1 2 1 2.
Yeah, you're sounding
1
better.
2. Okay. Does that sound better?
It does sound better. Thank you. As
Sorry
you,
about that.
you'll be sorry. You'll all be sorry. As you reach up to this woman, or this dead person, you hear someone sort of scraping their way across the ground towards you. This voice, desperate, broken, barely audible. Help me. Help me. As this bloated, swollen hand reaches out, of black and blue and green and milk white discolored.
Oh, yes, of course. I think Ella kind of rushes over and quickly just says a short prayer and is going to kind of cast lesser restoration on this woman. She kind of touches her and just kind of says, "Embrace the scourge, and suffering. May you draw closer to Ilmater." And as she kind of casts this, well, it's up to you how effective this kind of spell is, but I think Ella is attempting to kind of pray to Ilmater to draw this kind of disease into herself and to kind of lessen it.
As you see the discoloration fade from this woman's face, as you see her body sort of, this sickness drain away, you feel it enter into your own body, and the sensation. You've done it many times before. You've never felt. It's like there are so many sicknesses, sicknesses that have bred with other sicknesses, wrapping around one another. It's cholera and diphtheria, mange, malaise, and dropsy had united into one. And it sort of burns and sears. This is worse than what you normally experience.
What is this?
You see the woman's face sort of fall, exhausted. As she's healed, she just sort of collapses asleep, her breathing normal. And from around you, you see just these figures, some scraping themselves across the ground, some hobbling on sticks, some walking in crooked, deformed ways, all sort of making their slow, desperate way towards you. Heal me, just from all around you, the voices desperate, their hands reaching out, the fingernails dropping off as they just try to surround you.
I'm sorry, I cannot heal you all. Yeah, can I try and like get away?
They can barely even move. You can escape easily.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I think Ella just kind of looks back in horror and kind of almost too in wonder at this amalgamation of diseases in her. Just, yeah, she's horrified and kind of fascinated as she backs away.
As you flee from this regiment of the damned, these soldiers broken and wilted, some of them just collapse to the ground, having their hopes snatched away. They moan as if doubly pained, and you manage to escape through the streets that you know you've walked endless times, the streets of your childhood.
I just kind of walk the streets towards destination, and as I do, I just kind of say a short prayer. Ilmater, broken Lord, please find it upon yourself to heal these people. This wretched scourge. I know you have endured 10,000 tortures, but it's one more. Too much to ask. If not, please give me to do more than I can.
As you say your prayer, as you turn a corner, you see a scene of relief. You see a well lit stage, crudely built, and upon this stage stands an old man. He appears healthy, he appears strong, and he just talks out to the crowd. There's a holy symbol behind me, and man preaches hope, optimism. The crowd fills this narrow street as all of them look up, rapt. Some are healthy, some are sick, but listening to this man's words, it's like they are gaining courage.
Do I, I think Ella takes this as a sign from her Lord that help is coming in the form of holy people. Can I make out what holy symbol this man holds?
What holy symbol this man holds? Um, I don't know the gods of D&D that well. It is the god. Anyone know a good D&D god? Dan, you haven't said anything in a while.
What sort of vibe are you going for?
A gaudy vibe.
A gaudy vibe. Morning Lord's usually quite popular, I believe.
It, it's the sigil of Morning Lord. Who else would it be?
Lathander, I think.
Lathander
What his
Morning
symbol
Lord.
is. That's not helpful, is it? So well done, me.
Thank you, Dan. It's just the shining symbol of Lathander the Morning Lord.
It's really relevant to your backstory, by the way, Ryan, in case you hadn't noticed.
Oh yeah, for sure. Ella just kind of nods, seeing that it's not a symbol of Ilmater. Just kind of looks up at this man preaching and just kind of like nods almost like in thanks and goes on her way.
So the crowd is filling the street. You have to walk through the crowd if you want to get
Oh,
past.
okay. Yeah. No, I think I try and Ella's not the type to like shove through a crowd. Just kind of like, excuse me, sorry, excuse me, and just kind of like asks one by one for each person to kind of move aside so she can get through.
As you slowly and very politely walk past the crowd, they are just sort of beaming as they look up at this man. And you hear some of this sermon. It's an old voice, a kindly voice, a loving voice. Do not lose hope in the promise of the divine. You see death all around you, but the dead are those to be envied, for the shining kingdom awaits them. But I tell you now, for those who have the ears to hear, one cannot march up towards heaven. One must go down to the depths to rise above. And for each of us, on all of our journeys, there is a place above for each and every one of us. You sort of turn as you hear his strong voice, and he looks at you. But not you. You soiled, insipid little soul. You will dance on the blood-dimmed tide.
I'm sorry? Um, Ella kind of looks around confused, wondering if he's looking at someone else.
As you look around, all of the parishioners look utterly different. Their appearance is now a sea of shock, white-skinned faces, pure, featureless, expressionless, perfectly smooth faces, their porcelain white eyes being ravaged by maggots and burrowing flies.
Um, uh, what's going on? Um, Ilmater, why have you sent me this vision?
The ceremony of innocence shall soon be drowned. There is space for you in the lake, and we will watch you dance in the blood-dimmed tide. He jabs his hand at you, and you see his hand just rot, decompose, and there is just this spear of bone as his hand jabs towards you.
Um, Ella, fully, um, just ending the politeness, is just going to try and, like, run, just shove her way through the crowd to get out of there.
As you shove, you sort of push past these mannequin people. You shove, you push, you ram past them till your feet get caught up in another person's feet, and the two of you slam to the floor. You look at this person's face, and you see the face of a very frightened, sick young man who sort of recedes back from you as if you are something blighted. All around you, the people are terrified, shocked, and back away from you. Ordinary human beings.
I'm sorry, I have to get away. I have to get away. Um, yeah, I think Ella, just not knowing what's going on and like scared, um, not knowing if she's seeing things, why she was sent this vision. Yeah, just wants to get out of this crowd to somewhere where these people cannot see her. They stop staring at her. They stop looking at her like that.
Leave her be, good people. Truth shines bright for those that search deep enough. And the people just sort of back away and they let you walk. They're just frightened, sort of disturbed. And if you run through the streets, you know the streets well. You know where you are going.
Yeah.
You walk, you hear your terrified, you hear your footsteps echo upon the cobblestones until you reach your old home, your temple. You see this vast door, and sort of the outline of the door is of two snakes, their heads wrapped around one another as they shed their skin in renewal.
Yeah, Ella just kind of takes a deep breath. Home after so many years away, and goes to push the door open.
The door creaks open. From the dark, hands beckon you inside. We have waited so long for you, sister.
Yes, um, it is good to be back. Mother Hyssop sent for me. Is she? Where is she?
As you enter, you're surrounded by your fellow acolytes, all of them wearing plague masks, long and beaked, and they slam the door behind you. Dan,
Hi, my captain.
So, would you like to describe your character? Oh, you've already pretty much done that, right? Maybe give us a refresher.
Yeah. So he's by race a Goliath, so he's about 7'3", tall boy. Um, One side of the head shaved, with the other side a sort of wind-swept sort of wave of auburn hair. Um, he's probably sort of shaving himself with a dagger, keep himself clean shaven, even though there's not more than a 5 o'clock shadow there in the first place. Um, but a fairly ornamental, but sort of well kept breastplate. Not particularly heavily armored, mainly sort of over the chest area. He's getting on a bit. His skin's looking more like sort of weathered limestone these days than the sort of fresh, smooth skin of a young man. Um, but he's well armed. Still got quite a bit of strength there under the surface. Um, and I think probably the main thing would be the sort of hard set jaw and the scowl lines, sort of over his forehead.
Beautiful. Oh, yeah. Dan, you left the stables nearby somewhat, where you and your party of followers have been resting, and you returned to King Cowan's castle.
Mm-hmm.
You walk through the dark corridors, the bowels of the dungeons of this castle. You hear your footsteps, your steel-plated boots sort of clacking across the floor. You see no one else there. Just the dark is illuminated by a few torches. And as you walk, you see an old painting. Looks like something's been put here to keep it out of the way.
Um, yeah. What sort of painting is it that I see?
It's of your former king, King Sewell.
Hmm. That that would definitely evoke some sort of strong memories for Toric, a man who protected him once. Um, sort of granted him his first opportunities, his first lessons in honesty and loyalty. Um, I think it'd probably give him cause to pause for a moment in the corridor and just. He's not the kind of paladin to say a prayer, but definitely would sort of bow his head in respect for a moment before heading on.
As you bow your head, and as you look up, his stern face seems to stare at you, accusingly. As you watch his eyes, they seem glassy and bloodshot from a bruised, dead face, like the last time you saw him.
But I don't know what you're looking at me like that for. It's I had to be loyal to Cowan. I had to. He was his wits. I had to. I had to do it. It was. It was the right thing. I had a service to conduct. You told me to be feel to him, to do what he asked, whatever he asked. I don't need you showing up looking like that and making me pity you after all these. Yeah, I'm imagining things. Imagining things is. Um, yeah, I think he shakes his head. Um,
The painting says nothing.
think Toric will sort of turn and continue down the dungeon steps. Kind of, I think he's an intelligent man, even if he's not a particularly intuitive one. But I think it would concern him that a picture like that has been put down here, when it should have, even with everything that happened in the past, knowing that he met his end at Toric's own hands, I think he would know that the portrait of a once king deserves a place of honor elsewhere in the castle. But that's not what he came here to deal with.
As you walk down the corridors, just turning corners, going deeper and deeper and deeper, from the distance you see two guardsmen, huge, heavy set, in their black iron armor, both of them holding lanterns. They gesture to you as if they want you to come to them.
I'll approach somewhat warily. It's a good few months, possibly even a year or two since I've set foot in the fort, the castle, and I don't quite know where the loyalties of these clad guards lie, but I'll step forward, trusting to their intentions. You know who I am? I take it.
As you walk closer, you sort of, from the distance, you could only see their outline. Closer and closer you get, sort of black armor melting into the darkness. So eventually you get so close, you see neither one of these individuals has a head. In their hands, they're both holding their own heads with lit candles in their mouths. Firelight pours out of the empty sockets, illuminating the hall.
Yeah, I think the grip on the halberd is already tightening. As he looks forward and goes, "What meaning of abomination are you? If this is either some hideous trick on my mind, or you're some kind of wretched undeath that seeks to make this place your home. Either way, I don't stand by it much."
Two of them turn their heads towards one another. Sire Toric, we're waiting for you. And before you stands two knights holding their glass lanterns. They're wearing heavy sort of helmets, but you almost get the sense they're receding from you ever so slightly.
Apologies, gentlemen. It must be my. It's been a long journey here. Of course, I'll come with you. And yeah, assuming they now look a little bit more normal, I will follow whatever way they're looking for me to go with them.
They lead you a little further in, till eventually you come to a door sort of girded and encrusted with a dozen different holy symbols. 4 more guards stand outside this one. The 2 guards who led you here gesture to the door. The guards that were already there part, and they let you through.
Step forward. Might inquire. He's here, I take it. The one I've come to find. Expecting me as well, no doubt.
They are here. Hear a quiet voice say back to you. door is unlocked.
Yeah, I don't think any other preparation. Just push the door sort of quite firmly open. Stride in. Halberd sort of held loosely in one hand.
This room is a quite wide and quite long, quite low ceilinged chamber, lit by bright burning torches. At the far end of the room, on a crudely assembled throne, sits your old friend King Cowan. His hair, greyed from stress, hangs limply over an exhausted face, as if all rest and sleep abandoned him long ago. He looks decades older than when last you met. Between you and him, in the middle of a holy circle, there's a broken young man. Though his face is heavily bloodied, he's been badly beaten. You know him. The man you failed to murder. Prince Sarah.
Cowan, I can see the last few months have been kinder to me than they have to you. You look like shit, you old rat. I wasn't expecting an audience for this, that's for sure. And as seen as you've already got your wretched son here, I don't see why you needed to summon me back from my solitude in order to dispatch him for you. Some idea of a joke on your part, I take it.
King is slumped over. With one hand, he sort of limply holds a scepter, puts his other hand on the scepter, sort of uses it as a makeshift cane in order to lift himself up. I sent 20 men, my best men, to capture him. 8 returned, and the things they found there. What he did. Yes, I called you, though I wish to never again see your face. You're the only man I trust who will ensure that he stays dead.
Well, that's true enough. I've long been put into rest. Your secrets and judgments. But sure enough. And I think Toric's going to step forward. And I just want to kind of inspect over this Prince Kara and see whether he seems kind of... whether it is him this time. Toric has been caught before by illusions and disguises, and it weighs heavily on him that he made this mistake once before, so I think he would want to be sure of what he's doing.
How do you want to inspect him? He's sort of laying on his back. You can see his sort of sharp, shallow breaths, as if, 1 or 2 of his ribs have been broken. There's blood on his face, a gag in his mouth.
Yeah, I think probably want to step forward and possibly, I mean, as a paladin, I've got things like divine sense that would allow me to detect, creatures such as fiends or undead. Now, admittedly, last time this guy was not either of those things, but it's been a couple of years. He's reputedly been doing some pretty unholy stuff.
He's
So
developed as a young man.
Indeed, I'd like to kind of channel that divine sense and see if I get a feeling of evil from either this guy or indeed what appears to be King Cowan himself.
As you activate your divine sense, it's as if you were in Chernobyl, right next to the elephant's foot itself, and you were testing for radiation. There is just flowing all throughout this room, surrounding you. It's like you're testing for heat in the middle of the sun. It is just overwhelming. Just the darkness, the poison, the filth, the fiendishness in the air.
Well, Cowan, I have to say I've thought about you and I've missed the friendship that we had. But it's clear to me from the state of your court, your castle, this very room itself, that whatever once was of you, of your upstanding nature, is almost certainly gone. So I'll take your offer. I'll dispatch your line. I'll kill this wretched son of yours you've got here. And if I'm not mistaken, I'll be taking you with him shortly after. If you haven't the decency to do it for yourself. And yeah, I'm gonna haft the halberd and attempt to strike down this bound prisoner. As much as that doesn't feel like the honest way to do it.
Halberd raises into the air. It's bright, glistening metal, reflecting the light from the torches. You arc it down. It strikes like a sword or a blade deep into meat. A butcher's knife cutting meat. The figure below you, eyes bulging. You see blood seeping from behind the gag. It doesn't take him long to die.
I think watching that, I'm sort of feeling the sense of striking a bound man down. Toric would start to feel that sort of anger within him rising, possibly directed a little bit at himself. He's not, quite at rage levels, as it were, but there's definitely a sort of simmering of flame within his eyes and a prickling of heat along his arms as he feels the tension rising in the room.
You hear laughter coming from the other end of the room. Shrieking, howling laughter. If it had happened once, that would have been one thing. But the thought that I fooled you again. Below you, the one been struck by the halberd, is your old friend King Cowan. And across the room, sitting on the throne, is his cackling son.
You bloody madman. I had a feeling, but it's well, he's lost to me either way, isn't he? And I don't know whether his guards are gonna allow that to happen, but I am gonna attempt to basically fling a longsword at his face.
I'm going to change. For now, I'm going to take a break, but that is the end of your first section.
Fair enough.
Yeah, does anyone need a break? I'm going to need a quick 5-minute break.
Oh, for sure.
I could use one.
Okay, be right back in about 5 minutes.
Cool.
Sounds good.
Nice job, everyone.
Yeah.
That was great.
That was so cool.
You guys enjoy?
All good.
Oh, I did not pause recording. We've got every pennyweight of this conversation. I want every wheeze and fart to be remembered.
Good.
Okay, then. Mek, hazily, so hazily, you stumble back awake.
Uh,
Around you are the chirps and susurrus of the deep jungle. Plants, the trees are sumptuous green, the flowers in radiant red and yellow, small animals scuttling through the high canopy. The pain, the pain burning in your side, your body wet, so wet, as you feel sweat coursing down you. You lay at the top of a long, deep slope of a jungle ravine, and beside you your friend Sargeo sits, holding a water skin out towards you.
I think waking up from the pain just takes the water skin and takes like a hefty chug, some spilling down his chiseled jawline, as he just goes, "Oh, how many days into travel are we?"
Have you forgotten again? I don't remember. I think we might be lost. Oh God, they're fighting again.
Damn it! Uh, Mac picks himself up off the ground, heads
The
over to where he.
pain makes it almost impossible. It's just searing. It's just burning inside you.
try to. I'll try to crawl my way over to where I hear the fighting.
As Sargeo gives you he's a very heavily set bullywug, and they're already pretty chunky. He gives you his arm. He sees your pain, tries to be as supportive as possible. He points down the slope.
Uh,
I don't know. No, go ahead.
I just yell down the slope, "Boys, we're not in a situation to be fighting like this." Do I hear anything from them down there?
Down at the slope, you see your friends sort of one. They're either chasing one another, they're just running towards something. Oh, I don't know what's gotten into them. I mean, they had their flaws at the beginning, but it's like they're not themselves anymore.
Something about this island. I don't feel myself anyway. I've been flashing. I just woke up from a horrible dream of the ocean, a dead wave, and before that I was flashing through the tavern, and I think I seen God.
I know you're talking in your sleep as he tries painfully to sort of lead you forward. At the very depth of the ravine, sort of like at the middle, the two of you can see something. It's quite far away, but it appears to be something sort of shining, something sort of glittering treasure chest. As your two other companions are just racing in a desperate attempt to get there first.
I think I'm too hurt to even try to stop him. I just watch to see who gets there first and what they get.
It's a little difficult to see, but you think Julian is the one racing, the one who's going to get there first. But just then, with a sort of desperate surge of energy, Scales makes a running leap towards them, and the two of them, they're going downhill as it is, they just start tumbling downwards. The two of them swinging, fighting, you think sort of kicking and biting into one another as they hurl towards this treasure chest at the bottom.
Slow down, slow down. I'm gonna try to like hustle with Sergio and try to rush down with them to try to stop them from, you know, possibly falling off a cliff nearby, or we're in precarious terrain. Peculiar terrain.
Sergio supports you as much as he can. The two of you the two of you get a bit closer. The two of them stop to fight. From the distance you can see Scales just slamming the bottom of his foot down onto Julian's face. Even from this distance you can hear a crack of bone. Julian runs forwards, with the voice of a madman. You thieves! Snatching everything from me! He turns back towards you. He told me! He told me everything! You're going to take everything that's mine! You've been scheming since we started. But do you see this? He points towards your cherished chest. This is mine! Just laughing maniacally.
Look, we're gonna split it up like what we said. 50-50, 50-50. There's nothing... just stop fighting. We don't need to. And I send off a healing word to both of them. We're a group here. Nobody's stealing. It's just a paranoia. It's something about this island's making us all act different. Do any of you guys have a pain in your side?
Well, I was gonna say that. I've been eating a few too many of the local insects, says Sergeo, and he sort of burps up half a handful of just shells.
Right. This is prime eating for you. Kind of tries to put on like a half-hearted smile, but looks at Julian and goes, "We're all in it together. We're same team, remember?"
What's the range of word of healing or healing word?
60 feet.
They are far more distant than that from you.
Oh,
You can just
okay.
about make. Yeah, they're very distant.
Uh, then I guess I'm yelling all that as I yell like, "Remember, the team!" As I kind of, I'm trying to hustle Sergio, and if he's not moving fast enough, I will like tumble down with the pain. I'll just embrace the pain and tumble down the thing to get there faster.
Yeah, Sergio, he's gained about, I don't know, 50 pounds of fat since you first met him. He's not doing too great. You sort of shove him aside. He's trying to run forwards, and the pain just inflames you. It's like almost being struck by lightning. You do tumble. You go down. You get a little closer to Julian, but Scales is still a heavy distance away from you. As you hear him laughing, just trying to take this chest with him, trying to desperately open it, the lock, you hear just the earth quaking. From the distance, you and Julian both look as this towering beast, its head crowned with horns, begins to hurtle towards Scales.
Scales, look out! I don't think
Scales
I'm.
sees. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I don't think I'm close enough to do anything.
Scales looks. He sees the creature. There's just this demonic, manic grin as he just grabs onto the chest and starts dragging it back towards you, moving at a snail's pace as this enormous triceratops is just crashing towards him with the fury of a wave.
I I'm just like falling down a hill as I catch this in glimpses. Uh, I don't think I can get any closer, else I'm in risk of being gored as well. But he's just focusing on this damn treasure. Uh, yeah. How far away are they?
As you sort of tumble, Julian, you reach Julian and he just grabs you. Don't get any closer. And the Triceratops you see surging towards Scales. You see his smile. You see the beast getting closer and closer. As Scales refuses to let the chest out of his hands. I don't know if you want to close your eyes as the beast reaches Scales.
I think Mek instinctively kind of like winces, and once he looks up, or once he opens his eyes, all he sees is like a chest laying on the ground, like wherever the Triceratops went, Scales is on the tip of that horn.
You just see his body hanging limply, a handful of sort of gold and jewels still clinging onto his fingers as the great beast carries him away. In its fury, it stamped on the chest, the rest of the treasure just buried underneath its heavy weight.
Oh! Let off like a loud scream as I see him get carried off.
Julian, he's already holding you. Now he just. First, it was like he was being supportive. Then he just grabs both of your shoulders and sort of judders you to try to get your attention, and you feel the pain in your side inflame once more.
Just like coming out of like my ears ringing, hearing him finally. Look what you did! Your fighting caused this. If you just went over the treasure like you had before, we'd all be fine.
Blood pours down Julian's shattered nose. One of his eyes is sort of beaten black. It's closing. He pulls you so you're almost touching. When you write my saga, you will tell it true. I never wanted the treasure. He did this to himself. You will tell it true.
I like pull him even closer, like a UFC weighing standoff, like face to face, not even inches, they're touching foreheads as he looks in. You got one thing right. I will be writing down the truth. And kind of back away while I cast Healing Word on him.
Of course you'll heal me. I am the hero. This is my adventure. And you will do as I tell you to do. You can almost just see in his eyes just this glimmer of shining white. He just stands proud.
Go on. Take your treasure. It cost you a friend.
Stumbling towards you, you hear an enormous crashing beast as Sargeo reaches up towards you.
It took you long enough.
Sorry, you speak.
It took you long enough. Max just like angrily looking back at this blob of a frog.
Look, I didn't make. Look, I think you may have injured yourself. You're not looking so good.
Of course I've injured myself. We're all not ourselves. Just something horrible happening here. Something horrible on this island.
Look, maybe you should just try to rest. As he says that, he points towards this rock, and you realize the rock is covered in blood. It is your blood with your head cracked against it on your way down. You start to feel very sick and very, very tired.
I think Max Vision just sort of begins to like come in and out as he sits down beside this rock, and some tears kind of fall from his face as he attempts to pull out his like little story writing notebook. Am I passing out?
As consciousness fades, do you write anything?
With a bloodied pen, he just writes the beginning line for Scales' story, but he can only write SCA before passing out.
You pass out. You slip back into unconsciousness. You don't know how long you're asleep, but eventually you find yourself awake. Music gone? Where's the music? You wake groggily, hazily, in pain. Your body is soaking wet. The stab of pain inside your body. You try to breathe. The smell of thick dust, of abandoned places, is heavy in the air. It's the crackle of torches and the scrape, the dry scraping of stone. You lay propped against a cold, great wall in a dark chamber, somewhere very deep, very dark.
Kind of get pulled back into consciousness by a sharp pain in my side again. I'm gonna follow that sound of the scraping stone, calling out names. Sergio and Julian. Scales.
You look around you, and in the middle of this chamber, you see this enormous stone coffin covered in strange inscriptions. You see Julian and Sergio both shoving, just heaving, sweat pouring from them as they try to shove off the coffin lid. Groaning, heaving, they shove it off, and it shatters to the floor, the sound resonating around you.
How long have we been here? I'm gonna just like rush over to this coffin thing that they're opening up.
You try to rush. You stand up, the pain crippling you. You move slowly.
You guys, what's going on?
Sergio turns towards you. Body. He's gained at least another 50 pounds of weight since you last saw him. We did it, Mek. We did it. It was worth it. The treasure. It's ours.
You did
From
it.
behind him, you see Julian standing. The treasure is mine. And with one kick aimed squarely at his back, you see Sergio tumble hard down the stone steps towards you.
What are you doing, Julian? No. All together, a party. Remember?
Of course. My party. This is my glorious story. My ascendance. And he reaches into the coffin.
I'm gonna try to push through the pain and rush to him, but probably can't.
You start climbing up the stairs. Every sort of step is a weight of force and agony. As Sergio lays on the base of the steps, bleeding. You see Julian reach out of the coffin, holding this shining, glimmering chest piece, encrusted with jewels, sort of shine into the darkness. All that he promised me. My quest. I will be one with the ancients. I will be immortal. I'll earn my glory in all this filth. And he puts on the chestplate. You've reached the top as he does so.
I kind of stop at the top, holding my side, like a couple steps from the top, and watch as he puts it on. uh, trying to just see what this power that he betrayed us all for is.
It stands there just glittering. Almost it's dark in the cavern, but his chestplate is shining like he is a god. He just smiles. I will. Oh, the things I will do. The. See, sort of his face starts to redden and he starts to tap at the chest plate.
I think Mek just watches as the pain kind of comes down. Mind very split from all these events flashing through. I think Mek just stares down at him and goes, "You wrote your own end, and trust me, the truth shall be shown."
He reaches out for a dagger, one hand, his hands sort of manic, one just sort of scratching away under his own collarbone. You see that he's ripping open his own skin. One of his hands reaches for his dagger to try to cut his way out. He doesn't reach it. His face goes redder and redder, his eyes beginning to bulge from his head, until eventually, incapable of breathing, the chest plate squeezing, you hear a crack as his ribcage collapses inwards, blood gushing from his mouth and nose.
I think Mek lets a little tear drop before uh, just having such an utter feeling of defeat that this whole journey was for a magic item that killed him. And not only, in fact, killed him, killed somebody who just betrayed it. So Matt's just feeling defeated on top of defeated. Just sits on the top step beside the body of Julian, holding his pained side. Ugh. I, I hate Trolt.
Um, uh, Mek, Mek.
What? You find more bugs or something? You want me to eat up? Rest up? What is it?
He points to the other end of the temple, lolloping towards you. Something vast, something terrible, something huge. As we turn to Ryan.
Okay.
Just where's the music coming from? Oh, don't fail me now. I will write an angry letter if this fails me now.
Oh no.
I'm just restarting. That's certain to fix everything.
You've got special Plague Doctor Mask music, have you?
I guess so.
The music's so cursed,
you've
it
had-
broke its computer.
Yeah. Sometimes you play too many tracks, it just like stops.
It's good for like 30 minutes and it doesn't work anymore.
It just doesn't work. The music player in Roll20 is such a piece of shit. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I've got that.
I can hear it.
Like our comments.
Yay.
I guess if you insult it, it starts working again.
Ella Blightbearer. You enter into the temple and you are surrounded by acolytes, all wearing long plague masks that obscure their faces. Their beaked faces. They turn towards you.
would the plague masks be like familiar to me, or is this something new?
This is something new. This is something more intense than you have experience with.
It's I'm sorry, I can't see any of your faces. I don't know if I know any of you. Um, Mother Hyssop, are you there? I'm looking for Mother Hyssop. If you could lead me to her.
The other acolytes were your friends once. You don't know if these people were your friends, or if they have simply stopped caring. But none of them stalked you. You hear a whisper from one of them, the Hall of Soothing, and they encircle you and begin to escort you forwards, one of them bumping into you as they walk.
Wait. Um, Listen, I think I can find my own way, and I know the way. So is Ella kind of I think nervously like mutters, like this is not what she expected coming back to this place. Um, can she just look around these acolytes for I don't know, any form of recognition, or they all look exactly like the same?
They look totally identical, and as you're trying to look around, the ones that you bumped into just shoves you forwards. If you stop, they will just keep shoving you forward, as they have utterly surrounded you and are just marching you deeper inside the temple.
Sorry, I'll keep up.
The halls of this temple are pitch black, as always they were, but you don't need the light. You remember the way. As you walk, the familiar smell of bitter sickness and warm incense fills your nostrils, and the memories of your childhood flood back. Remember the bland, bitter food, the hours standing in ice cold chambers, reciting, always reciting, the pain of taking another disease and burden upon yourself, and the exhausted, healed person failing to find enough kind words to say to you. You walk through a low ceilinged hall until you reach a place, an opening, filled with cloaked patients lying on the ground like fallen flowers, all given the gift of sleep, the gift of deep, healing sleep. The acolytes depart, wordlessly, and all that remains are the murmurings of the people that surround you.
Yeah, can I look around this room? So all these people I see are kind of sleeping in a healing slumber. Can I look around for uh, Mother Hyssop or anyone that's awake?
As they're all sleeping, if you can sort of move them freely, they can't really do anything.
Everyone here is okay. Yeah. Can I go and inspect these people? Do I recognize anyone?
As you look amongst them, some of them wearing hoods, some of them just wearing their ordinary clothes, you see stranger after stranger after stranger, all of them emptied and drained of their sicknesses, their faces white and still. You see no one you recognize, just the ordinary commoners of Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, that's all I can kind of see here. Yeah, if I don't recognize anyone, I just like to kind of look around until I find someone that I do recognize. If not in this room, then I guess I'd try and leave and wander the halls. Go to where I think people would be.
As you stand and look around, you see a figure staring right back at you. Here, child. Come. It's the bearer of secrets, the woman you know all too well.
I think Ella would, like, before she even um, has time to think about it, just kind of on instinct, um, just come, like her feet start moving without her thinking about it. And yeah, I'm just gonna walk over. Finally, someone I recognize. Familiar
You've, been,
face.
you've gone long, child. We missed you. She leads you into her chambers. You remember the outside, where your fellow acolytes would go to have their disobedience taken from them. She opens the door, leads you inside, and directs you to sit at her desk.
Right. I think Ella's going to give one kind of glance behind her, realize that this is kind of she must do, and she's going to go and sit. And I think just kind of, yeah, sit like quietly until spoken to.
The bearer of secrets stands at the other side of the desk. She leans forward till her eyes are almost level, almost touching yours. Where did you go?
Mm. Right. Well, my sister found me, and I've been helping people for some time. I still practice the faith and follow the ways of Ilmater. I just thought that I could do that while being with family.
Where is your sister now?
She's gone. She died.
How?
He accepted a quest to get riches for someone. I thought it was the way of Ilmater to perform this burden, this task for him, and it was too much, and I couldn't save her.
She rots peacefully now. Her sickness has ended. Why did you leave us?
I was scared. I don't know.
She waits, as if trying to draw more out of you. Her eyes just burning inside, like almost feels like a finger is crawling around in your mind, trying to find every last corner to see if you're telling the truth.
I think Ella just kind of squirms under the gaze, and I think if she was looking for the truth, she would find that genuinely is Ella, left because she was curious about the world outside, and that some long forgotten love for her sister. But I don't think Ella really, Ella really doesn't quite know why she left, or doesn't know herself enough to verbalize that, if that makes any sense.
What do you know of this plague?
Oh, it was. I traveled the alleyways and the streets to get here. And I saw many people inflicted. There's some bearer of secrets. It does not seem natural. There's some great amalgamation of diseases all kind of stuck together into one horrific thing. It's like nothing I've ever felt before.
See the faintest inkling of a smile on her face. It was the father's doing. His work is done now. His cocoon is broken. His wings spread. His gift upon us all.
I'm sorry?
She leans back.
What do you mean it was Father Chime's doing?
Oh.
Why? You're not making any sense.
You did well, daughter. You're not lying. You never learned how, did you? You were so perfect before you left. You never made one whose pain was quite as sweet as yours, child.
Okay. What do you mean that disease was the father's doing? That goes against everything we're supposed to stand for.
What we're supposed to stand for? Oh, my sweet dear. Anyway, you know, you've met so much burden on your poor mother, darling. She's had to help all those innocent people, all by herself. All that pain and suffering. Gifted with so much pain and suffering. She's almost finished.
She's here? Can I see her?
From behind you, you didn't hear them enter. You are flanked by two acolytes. It's where they're going to take you. You can leave.
I think as Ella kind of sees these acolytes, she like jumps. She's like so tense. Right. Okay. And yeah, I think Ella would follow these acolytes. Like she knows. She's worried about what's going on, but she does not have the will to question it.
They lead you deeper in. You walk in front of a door. Once it was called the Hall of Beginnings. Those who recover from their sickness would lay, and you see the words beginnings scratched out. Now it says the Hall of Endings, and you are led inside. Within the room, you see acolytes. So many acolytes, there must be every single person in your order in attendance. A few of them turn towards you, but most have their focus on somewhere else. A hooded figure who's stooped over near the altar.
Yeah, is this hooded figure doing anything?
The hooded figure is motionless, sort of juddering, as if this figure is having difficulty remaining standing.
Yeah, seeing that this person is having difficulty remaining standing, I think Ella would just kind of look around at what's going on, like confused, and go and try and help this person stand. Are you right? Do you need a seat?
She's sort of circled by acolytes, but they let you through. The figure does not speak to you, and the acolytes surrounding you begin to chant. First soft in little whispers, for it gets louder and louder. The long disease of life and health has mended.
Sorry, what's going on? What are you chanting?
You vaguely recall this chant, but it's like the words have been altered and deliberately muddled. This isn't the way it's supposed to go. Something is different here, warped.
It's listen, this chant is clearly making you uncomfortable. I'm going to. You seem to be in pain. I'm going to take you out of here. I think Ella would try and lead this woman away.
The figure will not willingly leave. It's still robed. She lifts up her hood, and you see a sight hideous even to one such as you, as if every disease at the same time had burnt through a body unchecked by death. Every inch and particle dying 1,000 deaths, every death known, every sickness possible, flesh barely clinging to the body, flesh become a shell, flesh maligned into a chitin.
I think Ella would just like gasp, what's happened to you? And like kind of flinch away from this person, like in shock. As I look over this person, does this look like it could in any way be just a natural result of, getting sick, or is this something man-made?
This could not be the work of a mortal. This is something truly nightmarish, as if a person was sick and dying and the sickness just never ended and the person never died. But every sickness, just this ruination, the flesh black and twisted and warped and hard and hard.
And so she's just going to look around at these acolytes surrounding this woman, chanting, and just kind of say, Why are you chanting? This woman needs help. We need to help her. And can I just kind of reach out? And I think Ella would try and do what she can to mend this affliction on this woman. This cannot be. She doesn't know what's going on here, but whatever it is, this woman definitely needs help. She's just going to, just kind of say a short prayer to Ilmater and try and use his holy presence to cure some of the disease on this woman. Try and do what she's done 1,000 times, although she does not know if it will work this time.
As you reach out your hand to heal her, suddenly the figure sort of twitches into life, pulls itself back. Its two hands, sort of encrusted in disease, reaches up and finally just crashes into this being's mouldering face. The hands shove back up and hard, like a lobster trying to rid itself of its shell. You see the skin flesh shell tear, crack open as it separates off this being's head. Underneath, underneath the rind of death and sickness, you see the face of a beautiful young woman, her skin pink as if leaving a hot bath. She breathes deeply and desperately, like a newborn, and when she gains her breath, she opens her eyes and looks at you. Daughter, I've been waiting for you. Dan,
Hello.
got to put on the Dan music. A niche subject, but there are still in the industry of making Dan music.
Indeed.
When we left off, you'd hurled a sword at your cackling, laughing prince, who had just
Yeah.
tricked you into killing his father.
Definitely cursing. Fool me once, you know. Fool me twice. Various other mantras that come to mind.
Why don't you roll an attack? We'll just do a typically attack roll to see if your sword flung hits the young man.
Of course. Go one-handed. Doesn't really matter. Gonna be a 15.
The sword flies through the air, stabs into the prince. His laughing stops. He looks down. Next time, can you aim a little to the left, please? A little itchy over that side. He looks smiling, smug, cunning, self-important as he just grins at you.
Oh, whatever this madness is that keeps you alive, I have to see it ended, you. I can't let you get away with this. As he's gonna be kind of feeling the anger rising, but in this moment he's kind of desperate to control that, try and sort of stem it, as he wants to try and essentially do like a bit of healing on the king that he's just slain. Possibly sort of reaches down to sort of try and channel the energy into him, but it's very much like last time. He can feel the rage and anger sort of rising up instead. That sort of magical connection fading, and sort of stuck, unable to make anything happen. I'm willing to let whatever you had in mind play out as I struggle with my own self guilt.
As you try to control your rage, you try to heal your king, the prince at the distance just openly grabs the sword with his hand, letting it bite into his own fingers, pulls the blade from him, his body flowing with blood, his fingers bleeding. Oh, only my father could have hired a man quite so stupid as you. He starts walking towards you.
Stupid! I am. I am not stupid. It is by your trickery that I have once again been deceived, and I won't have you try and convince me that it's by my own failings again. As yeah, the rage is just gonna take hold. The fury crackles. There's a sort of swirling mist of flaming embers, and sort of smoke starts to swirl around Toric. He's thrown his sword away. That was smart, but he still has the halberd, which he kind of dropped to the floor. Or maybe not. Maybe it's still sticking out of the deceased, dying king on the floor. But yeah, the rage is definitely starting to
The halberd is fully sticking out. You're pretty much sure you went through this man's spine. It's holding up there. The prince tosses you his sword. Tosses you your own sword.
Settle this like men, Car, with honor. And he'll, yeah, I'll go for the sword. He's given me my weapon back. I'll bend to pick the sword up off the floor and basically level it at him.
I don't know why my family keep hiring yours. Even my grandfather. I mean, why did he hire your whore of a mother? I mean, she slept with everyone else, but at least she could finish a job. If you know what I mean. Just grins mercilessly at you, just standing there in nothing but robes. The bleeding appears to have stopped, though.
Yeah, I'm not gonna worry about whether or not he can heal up the wounds I inflict. I'm just gonna run at him and scream, "Look, for everything my mother might have been, she was a hard worker, and she certainly didn't fail to bring me up right, asn't did your grandfather. He taught me how to finish a job." And I'll swing my sword at him.
Roll an attack.
It's a 10.
It hits. He's not wearing armored. Oh yes, she brought up many men. Very many men. She brought them right up.
Quit with your grandstanding, Car. Does the I take it the attack does very little to
It stabs
knock him off
right.
his stride.
It stabs right through his chest, almost certain directly through his heart, as he just stands there smiling at you.
Yeah, I mean, I think he'd follow up with a couple more sort of swings, maybe each one sort of a bit more half-hearted than the last, as he realizes this is sort of another trick, another deception that he's been taken in by. I mean, what are this princeling's guards doing at this point? Are they making any move to stop this show?
Nope. The prince isn't trying to stop you. As you're just hacking and hacking through him, sort of like the front of his doublet has just fallen away, and you can see what's happening. As you just stab the sword in again and again, the moment it leaves his body, you pull out to stab him once more. The wounds have already sealed shut behind. Come on, take out some of your anger on me. It's good for you.
I am going to hold the sword up to his throat, point first. And I'm going to go, Carl, look, you knew me as a swordsmith, a trainer. You've seen me as captain of the guard, Knight Inquisitor. There's a lot I've taught your brother and you over the years. But you might have missed some of the more recent tricks I've learnt. And I'm going to try and back this thrust of the sword up with a with one of my paladin abilities and use a divine smite on this guy, hoping that somehow the added effect of that will be more useful.
You did bring up my brother, didn't you? Before you killed him. Yep, strike him with Divine Strike. Go right ahead.
Sure. It's 21 this time. Nice to know I
It's-
didn't miss at point blank range.
It's a hit.
And with a divine smite, that would be 14 points of damage.
His head pretty much explodes from the force of the divine light. Like, the back of the head remains, but all the rest has just sort of been smashed away. And then you see like this thin lattice, this matrix of flesh form just where his skull would be, where his face would be, and it regrows as he regrows a smug, smiling face. After all you've done for me, in your short, brief, and pointless life, I think I should give you a few more swings, eh?
Um, yeah, I mean he's gonna keep trying. He's just, he can see it's in vain, but this is what he knows: is just fight the evil you can see. But I think he knows in his heart that it's a lost cause.
Eventually, when it sort of feels like you just stab and slash and hack, you hack away his arms that regrow, you probably cut off his head a few more times, till eventually he feels that your sort of heart is no longer in it. I don't think you're entertaining enough for me anymore. I think I should call my guards. How about you?
There's one thing that I've never been called, Car. It's entertaining. Um,
I found this delightful.
Call for your guards. Have them do what they want with me. I'll have more to answer for to myself than I'll ever have to answer to you. You filthy, undead bastard.
Oh, I'm not undead. Not even slightly. He calls in his guards, these 6 towering figures dressed in black. I want you to know something before you leave. I'm not going to kill you. I'm not going to end this when you have so much more to lose. If you want to tell anyone, tell them. Be a voice in a wilderness. Cry havoc, little worm. You'll do nothing, or you will join me in the end. The guards begin to drag you out.
Uh, yeah, I mean, it's up to them whether they want to drag. I mean, I would kind of willingly go with them at this point. Like, I've proved my point. I've failed. Um, I've let out some anger, but it's been kind of fruitless.
As they drag you out, you hear, "Hail Asmodeus!" as the guards drag you back out of the bowels of the castle. As you're pulled, as your feet scrape against the floor, you're sort of taken to a place you've never been before. Behind the doors of these sort of little cells inside the chambers, through the corridors, you just catch glimpses of inhuman cries, of strange beasts weaving out of flesh and bones, of cloaked men in demonic robes. You're hauled through this great opening. You see bodies in carts overflowing, these carts overflowing with bodies, being led into the distance by crooked, inhuman servitors. Eventually, you reach a gate. You're hauled out, thrown to the ground by these guards, discarding you as a dog's master would dispose of the animal's filth, and they march back.
Yeah, I think he'd just sort of take a moment to sit there on the ground, and I think as their sort of anger's worn off a bit now, probably looking around a little bit disconcerted at you know, the sight of what has come to the White Barrows, but also realizing that maybe it was a bit of his own stupidity that he's marched here at the requests of a letter. He's inadvertently slain pretty much the only true friend he ever had for a second time. Um, and yeah, just take a moment before working out what to do next.
As you sit in your sorrows, you hear something walk towards you. You hear the clip clop, familiar clip clop of hooves.
Does it sound like a big bloody Shire horse by any chance?
You turn up. You see a big Shire horse. It is soaking on one of its sides in blood.
Oh, um, Trunks, is that you? Um, what's that? Don't look good. Um, you all right, boy? And can I sort of approach the horse, try and check it over, see, try and calm it down if it's agitated, or look for a wound if it's got one.
The horse is agitated. It's like gesturing back, trying to get you to come with it. As you inspect its side, it is totally unwounded. The blood came from somewhere else.
Um, yeah, I think without wasting a moment, if the horse is fine, I'll jump myself straight up on top and go on, lad, run harder. Whatever it is, we'll get there quick.
As you ride back to the stables, this horse, more spirited than you've ever known it, you're just surging forwards, just the trees becoming a blur. As you go and go, forward, forward, faster, faster. As you look to your side, the surroundings become strange, wispy, as if the trees were beginning to evaporate, as if the whole world was dissolving into smoke. You are riding through the forest, but the forest melts away, and all around you is this vast, barren plain of dusty sand. Horizoned by the darkness, traversing this plain are vortexes of pale wind, of churning white smoke. As they hurtle past, half congealed forms of faces and fingers appear within, like wraiths or ghosts. They reach out with desire, as if trying to still themselves, to hold themselves from this imprisoning, relentless motion, as they fade, as they hurtle into the distance.
Yeah, is it like, do I have? I mean, I'm guessing I noticed that this don't look like the road I came to this from the stables on. Um, do I have any idea of like where I might be and where I'm going?
You've seen nothing like this before, as you are just barreling forwards.
Um, is the horse kind of leading the way, as it were?
Yes,
Or yes. Bloody hell, boy! I don't know what you guys got yourselves into here, but it don't look good. And I think I'm just gonna sort of draw the long sword ready because something certainly seems off about all this. Um, it's kind of, you say it's like sort of wispy mist in front.
all around, just sort of hurtling past you, these vortexes of wisps of wraiths swirling.
Um, oh, so it's kind of like figures almost um, in it.
Half formed figures, yes.
Do they look familiar at all? Like sort of like they belong to a person, or
You can barely even identify that they are even faces or hands. They're just sort of getting glimpses in the wind.
Um, yeah, I think I might sort of just keep pressing on, try and ignore this development as much as possible.
As with one sword just screeching on horseback, as you travel forwards, eventually the horse begins to slow down, and as it does, this terror that you've entered into just melts back down. It melts away, and once you saw just this vast horizon of darkness, you see a verdant green forest. You see the stables that you and your entire party were resting in. You see the stable doors standing ajar, and inside the stables there is screaming. Ash, Mek Gong, as you've just seen your party member sort of implode in front of you, your friend Sergio points his jabbering finger towards this mighty gargantuan beast. It sort of half hops towards you, towering above you. It is some kind of terrifying gargantuan frog monster. It's making its way directly towards the two of you.
I I'm trying to pick myself up with this pain in my side. I wipe my sopping wet forehead, and I'm gonna look around this like tomb area for any other exit that might be here.
There is one there. This room has two entrances and two exits. One is in front of you with the froghemoth heading towards you. One is behind you. As yes, you are. You just feel dripping wet with this cold water and this pain glistening out. Sergio tries to stand next to you, but it seems like in the fall his foot is sort of slightly twisted. It no longer seems to be aligned with the rest of his body.
I'm gonna try to send off like a little healing word to Sergio so he can keep running, but I'm gonna rush off as well.
As the two of you rush off, Sergio's gargantuan body, he's moving at maybe half your pace as the froghemoth is catching up with him quickly. He turns to you and says, "Don't worry, mate. I've got this. Just you just take our story with you, right? Make sure people hear it, right?"
Right, right, right. And I keep sprinting along, letting him do whatever move he needs. Just Mac is broken from losing like his entire party.
You hear a kind of battle roar. From behind you, you hear Sergio not run away with you. You hear him hurl himself towards the froghemoth. You hear him crashing, this brawl, this wrestling. The sound of the froghemoth screeching, the sound of Sergio bellowing out in anger and then in pain.
You bought me a few seconds, and I'm gonna use them. And I try to just sprint out with my life, knowing that this entire adventure has been a failure. Everyone's just died, and I've made it out by the skin of my teeth every single time.
As you run, you just see just a maze of corridors leading this direction, that direction. Imagine you have some kind of torch that you grabbed on your way outside, but you can't see anything very clearly. You're just dazzled and baffled.
I'm like running full speed into walls as these tight corridors and quick turns are too much for me, but I'm just sprinting through, bashing into walls, just trying to make my way out.
As you bash, sort of slightly knocking yourself, not senseless, but just the grogginess the heaviness of your head distracting you. You stumble, you keep walking forward, you get up, you stumble, you keep walking forward, and then you feel a knife stab into you right where you feel the pain, where you have felt the pain the whole time.
Just lets out this agonizing cry of pain. I must keep going. And just feels that stab. I'm gonna look to see where it came from.
You see this bloated body, something been in the hot sun for too long. You see an enormous hole, like a horn, had been driven through this corpse. You see just the remains, picked apart by the jungle birds, of scales as he withdraws the knife from you. You didn't feel any more pain when the knife went into you. That was the pain the whole time.
Scales. No. Just kind of succumbs to the pain of the blade and betrayal and defeat all at once.
So you simply lay there?
I seeing this sort of undead version of Scales, I guess I'm gonna try to uh I'm trying to this might sound weird. I'm gonna try to uh polymorph Scales into like a, a cute little gecko or something.
Does polymorph work on the undead?
Good question. Uh, I don't.
We can hear four sets of eyes reading.
Um, I mean, it says a creature. Um, I see nothing that says no to the undead.
It willingly lets itself be transformed.
I try to just concentrate on that. Uh, Hold the blade in my gut, now knowing where this pain has come from, and pick up the gecko and try to rush out.
It's a dead gecko. I mean, sort of like its entrails are sort of seeping out from the hole in its side, but it is a gecko.
Seeing it's a dead gecko, I will let him stay in the temple and rush out, feeling this pain, wondering what happened to Scales and why he did this.
As you rush forward, these sort of shining bright white eyes of this tiny gecko, I'm guessing you kind of just toss it to the side. Once more, you're lost, sort of crashing into walls, tripping over your feet, the odd sort of jungle branch or the thick roots covering the ground, tripping you up. You see, you reach a dead end. In front of you, there is sort of this underground sort of river. Even though no one's been in this temple for years, still it flows with water that smells fresh. And from behind you, you hear the tremendous lumbering of the froghemoth heading towards you.
Uh does there seem to be a like it's like is it a drop into this river?
About, no, you could step into it.
Okay. Uh do I see any daylight?
You do not.
I think Mek, feeling just utterly broken physically and mentally, is just going to remember back to being like a little kid escaping from an orcish raid on a village and being sent down the river with his uncle to escape, and just lays in the river and lets it take him.
You float. You float. For a moment, you feel weightless, and even the pain, the wound in your side, just beginning to fade as you just relax and accept destiny. You drift down the course of the water, almost gentle, almost peaceful, till suddenly the darkness is not dark anymore. You open your eyes as a red light just streams into your vision, and all around you, frothing in motion, is a swarm of wrestling bodies, half in and half out of the water. Some of them leaping up into the air, some of them, these figures, all fighting, all wrestling, crashing down, all crashing against one another. They scrabble to gain purchase on one another's wet skin, beating with fists and feet. With teeth they bite, with nails they claw upon one another's forms as they try to rip each other to shreds.
So I get deposited into this like sea of bodies.
It's like you're not in a river. It's like you're just, all the world is a sea, and all the sea is full of these wrestling, furious beings. Yes.
I get into like a full blown panic attack in this like horde of just bodies, and if you allow, I want to try to make an athletics check to try to just climb to the top.
Climb to the top of what?
Whatever this sea is. Like you say, people are like grappling to try to get like higher and higher, or like to get
Grappling against one another.
yeah. Uh, I guess I was envisioning that as like trying to not slip through, but I'm gonna look for the nearest like place that isn't just filled with this.
As you sort of try to not stand up, but at least sort of reposition your body in the water, you just, all around there is just blood, the sound of biting, the sound of screaming rage, and you just see a small sort of clearing, not even very large, but at least it's where the combat, at least it's some empty space, some empty water.
I'm gonna rush over to there, and you say this place is just it's insane. I think Mek is rushes to this little like kind of clearing, catches his breath, and kind of tries to try to tries to look figure out where he is. Like, where did this river take me?
As you take deep breaths and you look around, you just see a world of rage and combat, a world of violence, the sky, a vile blood red. You have just no real comprehension of where this world is, as you feel water sort of pulling and sort of your body drifting along.
Can I?
You feel your body sort of impact something, like you've struck a rock or just a side to something.
I'm gonna try to feel to what this thing is. Like, make purchase on it. Stop flowing around.
As you turn around, you look in your eyes and you see the darkness of a tomb. You see the darkness of a Chult temple. Uh, you were once carried by this river, and now you are just once more at the edge of this waterway. You found some dry land, or as dry space.
I think Mek just lays down and tries to not, like, I guess he's gonna just take a rest here, collect himself, and write down what he remembers of his fallen friends.
As you reach for your sort of notebook, it's like you see the pages are sort of soaking wet. Sort of like the blood red of the ink, all the black of the ink, the charcoal that you were using, it's all just sort of soaked and drifted away.
I think at seeing that, Mek just like weeps a bit. That was his true treasure.
You hear a voice, and you sort of lift up from your sorrows, and you see this dark hooded figure. You see his eyes shining white, and you feel his hand reaching out to touch your forehead.
I think at this point Mek just thinks it's a hallucination and just goes with it. Go ahead, God. Feel my forehead.
As he touches your forehead, you hear the words, "Tell me your story." And you begin to remember everything that you experienced. Time at the inn, time at the boat, the death of Scales, the death of Julian, the death of Sergio, the journey to the river. You remember everything that brought you to this moment, that brought you to this dry, barren temple. To see the creature sort of let your head go. It takes its hand off you as your memories and your reality realign. What an interesting adventure that you had. I know I enjoyed it.
No, I didn't. I hated it. Forced to travel most of my days. Watch my friends die. For nothing. For betrayal. And I don't even get my stories.
I got them. And from behind you, you see these sort of wraiths, these shades. You see Scales skewered. You see Julian, his breastplate shining and crumpling his body. You see Sergio bludgeoned and coated in slime. Don't worry about your adventure. Now it's the end. He sort of shoves you down to the ground and he places his open hand above your face, and a pale mist begins to pour out from your mouth and nose. It feels like you're being displaced from your own body. You separate from your vision. Your touch disappears. All of your sensations are split from you. It's like you are spilling into this dark hand, as if you are being stolen away. When it feels like there is almost nothing left, you are hollow, all gone. A surge of fluorescent grey shines into your suddenly regained sight, and you see the hooded figure hurled against the temple floor.
I think I'm just gonna try to behold what's going on. I'm feeling dead, unsure if this is even real or not. Mac just kind of sits back and watches whatever's about to happen.
Hooded figure just begins to warp and starts screeching with a deathly wail that you can barely heal. You see it just sort of melting and unforming, and like black oil, it seeps into the floor and is gone. A figure walks towards you, his face covered with a mask of white, and he bends over you almost tenderly. Are you still here?
Me?
His eyes look inside your eyes as if there's to check if there's someone left inside there.
Uh, I guess I'm alive.
He stole you. He stole most of you. I think there's enough left. You feel your body being lifted into his arms. You see the air being filled with fluorescent grey light all around you, cloaking you. Ryan, you just saw this sort of carapaced creature, this creature encased in disease, sickness, and death, as the music refuses to start. Just sort of shove away the outer skin, and you see a beautiful woman, just reborn, flexing her neck, letting her sticky wet hair begin to flow more freely. And she smiles at you.
I'm sorry, but what's going on? Who are you? What was that?
Have you forgotten already, child? Do you see what the outside world has done to you? For those who give all, she just turns towards the crowd of acolytes. For those who give all shall be given. You have seen a gift, child. You have seen a gift, all my children. Now, she gestures towards the crowd. Leave me. I would have peace. The acolytes file out the room. Go right ahead.
Is Ella part of the crowd that she gestures to? Or does she... I think Ella would probably leave with the crowd if she says leave me. Or at least try to.
You hear a crumbling as this woman just not sure what she's doing, but it's crumbling and cracking away, and you feel this strong hand reach your shoulder. Not you, Ella. Not you.
Ella kind of stills. Right. I think she kind of turns around to look at this woman. Does she look familiar at all? She seems to know me.
She just sort of looks at you as if she wants you to recognize her. She just looks side by side, as if she's just waiting for you to say something, waiting for you to recognize her.
I'm sorry, you seem to know me, but I'm not sure I recognize you. I apologize. It has been a long while since I've been back in the Brotherhood.
Don't you remember me, child? Don't you remember me, my beautiful daughter? All the time we shared together? As you look at the face, it's just vaguely. Once there was a face just ruined by pox, sour green from malaise and swollen with dropsy. Now you see the woman beneath, in all her radiant prime. It's Mother Hyssop standing before you.
My mother. You look beautiful. Ilmater has cured you of your afflictions?
Ilmater has done wonderful things for me, child, yes. Oh, none of this was ever supposed to happen, of course. You had to go gallivanting away, didn't you?
Does any of this have to do with me?
You were to have inherited everything I was, child. You were to have received the gift of disease and suffering, all that precious pain. I'd earned a death. I had earned the pit. But I had to be reborn with no one to replace me. Oh well.
Right, I'm sorry for leaving. I did not know it would place such a burden upon you, but I'm glad you did not die and that you stand before me rather looking healthy and well. This seems something to celebrate, not to Yes, it seems something to celebrate. In your letter, you spoke of my parents. You said that they were here in the temple.
Yes, them. Look, don't you worry. We've given them everything that they earned. Everything.
Good. I- Are they well? I held some of the disease inside myself, and it's like nothing I've felt before. But you've cured them, alleviated their suffering.
She bites her lip. Well, is somewhat subjective. The plague bit both of them quite hard, and considering that they'd stolen you from us, I think they were a tad reluctant to come to seek my aid. If they'd come sooner, there would have been more we could have done for them. But they didn't.
His face kind of falls. What what are you saying?
She looks down, sort of holds the fingers of her hand with one of her other hands. I tried to save them for my sins. I did try to keep them, but they slipped from our fingers. If I'd had an assistant, perhaps it would have been easier, but what with you not here.
Um, I think Ella looks devastated. Um, she's starts just kind of shaking, clearly like holding in a sob. I right. I'm sorry. If you could give me a moment,
Oh, dear.
I could I see their bodies? Perhaps give them the proper rites of passing.
Their bodies? Um, oh, goodness me. Yes, they're here somewhere. It's the bearers of burdens, the labourers. They have such interesting ideas recently. We all have had. Yes, I don't know what's come upon us, but yes, use something complicated. I don't like listening to them. They're dull people. Something about using diseases to strengthen the physical form. Wonderful stuff. I'll go bring them for you.
Right. You were saying new ideas. I've noticed the temple has changed somewhat since I've been here. The new uniforms, the place masks are somewhat creepy, I have to admit.
Oh, you wouldn't believe the changes we've undergone, child, since you've been away. We've been shown wonderful things. Shown so many beautiful things. New ways of seeing the world, of course. As she gestures one of her acolytes to fetch your parents. It was. What was their name again, darling?
Hmm. Sarah and Bernard? I'm not
Sarah.
sure.
Sarah
I'm
and
not sure
Bernard.
of last names.
Don't worry. I'm sure they'll find them.
Right. Um, Mother Hyssop, if if my parents are already gone, why why have you called me back here?
Well, I had to say, when you left, You took a few things with you that didn't actually belong to you anymore, didn't you?
What do you mean?
All those diseases, darling. All that ill matter. We've got to get that back. We're going to have to get all of that back.
Mother, we take these diseases into ourselves so that they cannot hurt others any longer, so that we may suffer while they walk free. I don't know why. What do you mean you want it back? What do you intend to do with such vile things?
Pain and disease are gifts, child. They are the sacred gifts of ill matter, and you stole them from us. We will extract every one from your flesh, however long and hard we have to sieve through it.
Very well, if that is what you wish, I of course will obey. I was speaking with the bearer of secrets before, and she said something terrible, something about Father Chimes, and that he is the one that set the plague upon Baldur's Gate. Please tell me there is more to this than it sounds.
Sickness is a gift. We can't hoard it all for ourselves anymore. We have to spread it as far and wide as we can.
There, it doesn't make any sense. That goes against. As I hear her saying that, and Ella feels something is very wrong here. Can I try and cast Detect Evil and Good? I want to kind of just see if Ilmater still blesses this person. I'm not sure if this spell would work for that, but I think Ella's just. She's confused on how their doctrine could have shifted so far, and she thinks something terribly wrong has gone on.
As you cast the spell, you feel like an inversion. Once was holy has been made wicked in equal proportions to how it was holy. As you cast this spell, you just turn to your side and you see, out of the corner of your eye, the symbol of ill matter turned upside down. Where once there was the name of a god, ill matter, all that reads above is this. I believe the gods have left this place long ago.
I think something terrible has gone on here. Surely you know that this is wrong. That this goes against Ilmater. That his teachings would not want this. What has happened here?
As you say that, you hear the sort of temple begin to quake. You turn towards the sound, you just see these two sort of behemoths, these two masses of just flesh and bodies, a tatterdemalion of human flesh, 9 foot tall, perhaps a dozen bodies in each of these beasts. Here they are. I don't know which is which, though. Sarah or Bernard, of course.
Ella is going to just run for the door.
At the door, you see a dozen acolytes, each one wielding a dagger. In the room, this terrifying priestess to sickness and death that's defied and defiled all that you find holy. And lumbering towards you are these two flesh titans.
Major, protect me, for the world has gone corrupt and wicked. Yeah, can I just try and Ella kind of sees the daggers. She sees these two titans of flesh. And she's just going to kind of hold up my shield and try and um, barrel through the crowd, try and escape any way I can.
You can. You'd be sort of like. It's not like a wall of flesh, but it's a wall of living bodies. It's you can certainly try, but there
Oh,
are
sure.
a
Okay.
dozen people. It's just
Oh, okay. I thought there was only like a couple. Um, right. I think Ella would just yeah, she would just look between these titans and just look at Mother. And I don't think she would know what to say.
the worst sin of all is treachery, my darling, and you all must repay all the pain we gave you. The pit must be filled. It will be fertilized by your collapse. As you see the acolytes turn towards you, in their hands the daggers, the flesh giants tower towards you, about to crush you with their weight.
Mother, please stop this. I know you're in there somewhere. Please. This is wrong. This is not what you once taught.
As you say that, nothing happens. The woman in front of you doesn't respond. She doesn't move. The acolytes to the side of you stop moving towards you. And the two titans that were set to crush you freeze, motionless.
Can Ella move?
You certainly can.
She's just going to stand up and kind of look around, scared and confused. Do I see anything different about the room? Do I feel any sort of presence, or is everything just the same but still?
You hear a voice. They died painlessly, anesthetized before they went. If that comforts you at all. From a voice behind you.
I turn behind me. Hello?
You see
Where
a
are you?
you see a figure standing about 10 foot away from you, wearing a white mask over his face. I'm here.
Are you? Are you him? Are you Ilmater? Do you to save me? To save your holy temple?
I don't know if he exists, and I'm certain he hasn't been here for some time. But I'm not him.
You.
I suppose my name isn't particularly relevant at this point. I can save you, though, if you want me to.
Other than me, could you save them? The rest of the city, they walk a path of evil. Surely someone that can do this can find some way to help them, to turn them back to the right way.
He points at Mother Hyssop and the acolytes. Those people don't want to be saved. I don't know how to save them even if they'd want to be. He points towards the two flesh Goliaths. I can save them, though, if you'll help me.
Of course. Anything.
He holds out his hand.
Ella grasps his hand, goes to take it.
All around you, you see a surge of fluorescent grey light. Dan,
Hello. Oh, looks like quite a nice stable, really, doesn't it?
when last we met, you had surging through the forest, your horse covered in blood. He was trying to get you to come somewhere. It raced you forwards to this place where you and your companions were hiding. The horse is blood coated, the barn door is ajar, and inside you hear the screaming.
Yeah, no hesitation. I'm gonna vault off the horse and make a run for the door. I think quite a strong chap, so I might even just, slam the door open. What's going on in here? What sight meets my eyes?
Within, you see a massacre. On the back wall, your squire, Kuldart, lay slain, and his blood is being painted onto a back wall. The only words that's already been written is this word. To your side, peacefully, is the still body of Leica, your mistress. In the middle of the room, the one screaming is your servant, Scrablick, the goblin. Was he a goblin? Or yeah, the goblin.
Yeah.
You see him lifted into the air. He's being held by what appears to be an angel. Its skin is made of solid, hard, shining white material, and where the legs and arms and wings connect to its body, it is made of gold.
What? No! What is... This can't be happening! Treacle! That... No! And he's gonna try and save the goblin. I'm gonna, again, just swing the sword wildly, trying to reach this. I mean, this angel, how high is it flying, holding my my manservant?
There are three angels in the room. One is just its hands sort of dipping in your squire's blood, still painting. One stands above the body of Leica. The angel is about 7 foot tall, holding him high in the air, sort of like squeezing into his chest. As you rush towards the one holding Scrablick, another one, fast, so fast you can barely see it move, leaps in between the two of you, blocking your forward path.
What is the name of this? What demon, devil, god has sent you to do this? And whatever you're doing with my squire's lifeblood, you can damn well stop it and relay your message to me in person.
The one standing in front of you turns its head towards you. The one holding Scrablick and the one paying towards the wall, both of their heads turn around like these creatures are ceramic dolls. They just spin on an axis. One in front of you looks towards you Without moving its sort of solid porcelain face, says the word irrelevant.
Irrelevant. I have had quite enough of this already today. I have been dismissed by that jumped up bloody prince. I have gone through torture to fall for tricks and schemes again. And now I stand here in what I hope is some sort of new deception as I am confronted with the loss of yet more people whom I care for. Irrelevant, not to me. What on earth is going on here?
Irrelevant.
Yeah, so these angels are kind of out of reach, did you say?
One is directly in front of you, almost frighteningly close.
Oh, I don't like being told that this is irrelevant. It is absolutely not irrelevant. Um, I'm gonna see if I can I get to either of my um um retainers that are not being held aloft. Can I grab at them, try and help them?
You can certainly move towards them if you want to.
I think I'm going to try. Um, he's trying to sort of avoid just throwing swords at stuff at this point, and wants to actually try and save someone's life for a change. Um, I'd like to sort of run forward, and I don't know if there's like a you want like a medicine check or some sort of healing. Something I have got lay on hands and stuff. Whether there's anything that can be done to save these unfortunates.
The angel in front of you tries to stop you. He just reaches out his hand, just spinning, and tries to grab onto you.
I'm gonna try and resist being grabbed. Admittedly, I've just seen that is an incredibly strong attempt to grab a hold of me, but I'll respond with a 26 in athletics,
With the
which is good,
with
but
the
not enough.
full force of your blinding rage, this nightmare day that's crashed into you, you almost slip from its grasp, but this solid, unmoving hand, cold as porcelain, grasps round you and will not let you move. With its other hand, it points towards the goblin, high in the air, just screaming. How do you know him?
Him, grapple is fucking idiot. He's a goblin. They're all worthless, isn't they? Just he makes decent stew. He knows how to fold clothes, all right. Just let him go. There's no sense in spilling more innocent blood on this point.
Folds clothes. Makes stew. What else do you know about him?
Well, not a lot as it happens. He was, he just was sort of hanging around, and I thought it was a bit of a joke, to be fair, at first when Cowan gave him to me as a manservant, but I kind of grew to the devil. He's, not bad to have around, really. Bit shrill. Scrabbling, it'd be nice if you could stop shrieking, lad. I'm trying to save your life here.
The angel holding him squeezes harder. Given to you by Cowan. What else do you know about him?
Well, I've told you, all right? I don't know anything about him.
Are you
Been with him
certain?
for years.
Years. How many years?
Oh, maybe like 6, 7. How long do goblins live anyway? How old are you, Scrabbly?
Irrelevant, the angel holding him says.
Right. You clearly have something you want from us. Just have out with it. Before I have out with your guts.
You have owned this goblin for 6 or 7 years. What else do you know about him?
Right, I'm done with this. And I'm going to attempt to remove myself from this one's grip and level a sword, halberd at him instead.
If you're going to try to free yourself from this grasp, you'll have to make an athletics check.
That is.
Oh,
It's a nat 20. It is a 30.
Holy
on the
shit.
athletics.
oh.
You free yourself from this angel's grasp. As you do, it's the hand holding you, sort of made of these joints. Two of the fingertips come flying off as you break free from its grasp.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't like this. Toric is not used to being manhandled and certainly been outstrength. But I think there's a little bit of this is just possibly taking the angel by surprise. You know, they're not expecting him to fight back and escape with the strength that he does. I'm just going to give him one last sort of warning and say, look, I'm very reluctant to spill more blood today, but if it has to be, it has to be. You've seen what I'm capable of. Now, tell me what you're after. Get out of here, or you're going to have at it.
What else do you know about the goblin?
Right, I've lost my patience now. I'm going to... I'm going to attempt to do something smart first. I'd like to cast command on the one holding the goblin and command him to put the goblin down. I can link the spell if that helps. But essentially it is, unless this is some form of undead, they make a wisdom saving throw, DC 13.
What are you telling it to do?
Put the goblin down.
Save is this wisdom save.
Although
Gotcha.
technically it's a one-word command, so
Drop.
I guess drop. Drop goblin.
No.
All right then. I'll swing my halberd at the angel in front of me and start kicking things off. It would be a 13 to hit if we're going down that route.
You swing and you hear a surprisingly delightful ting as you strike against the angel and it bounces off. Do you have any additional information about the goblin? Or are you irrelevant?
I'm bloody sick of this today. I'm not used to things not responding with dying and being hurt and stuff. No, I don't know anything else about the bloody goblin. I've had him 6 years. He's decent at his job. He's kind of irritating. He's got a squeaky voice. Looks like a prat. And he's no use to you. He's more use to me. Just Please just let this bloody bloodshed stop, all right?
And that is all the information you have, correct?
Yes, that's all the bloody information.
Kill him. The angel writing at the back wall, almost faster than you can see, appears behind you. The angel in front of you stands in front of you. Of course it does, I just repeated myself. The angel is holding Scrablick. Stays motionless, just with his head looking towards you, and the angels will start to strike you.
The nat 1 will miss, but the 21 definitely hits.
You take 28 bludgeoning damage.
That's the way it's going to be, is it? Right. You'll have to do harder than that. And if I get a chance to react, I'm going to start swinging. I'm not going to roll anything because I assume it's just going to bounce off again.
You can attack. Two of them are now fighting you. Take a swing if you wish.
Fair enough. Full blown. Let's go for it. I'll even back this one up with a searing smite. Why not? I do need to remember how to swing my weapon though. Oh, it's a nat 1.
The angel grabs your halberd, and you feel it yanking it away.
That's fair.
Will a 32 hit you?
That will hit me, yeah.
34 points of damage crashes behind you. Creature strikes you and immediately withdraws its fist.
Wow. Yeah, I'm definitely starting to feel the pain, my friends. Not down yet. I'm still standing. I mean, I suppose at this point it would make sense to rage, and go for another. I haven't even got a halberd to swing. I'll just try and punch it, like you do. Full on anger. Still an 11 to hit though.
It's like you're punching into solid metal, solid stone, solid something so unmoving. All you do is greatly hurt your own hand.
Yeah.
See both the angels, the one in front, the one behind, withdraw their fists. They arc towards you, both of them surging towards you as if they're going to crush your head in between them like a melon.
Well, it's no more than I deserved, innit? I'll let the fists drop and embrace my fate. I'm hoping that Discord's playing up again.
Yeah, is this just a dramatic pause or?
Oh, I'm glad someone else can still hear me.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I think Oliver might just be having a problem, maybe.
Do you
Oh,
open
no.
your eyes?
Sorry.
In front of you, there is just a fist. Behind you, there is a fist. Nothing happens.
Oh. Right, is this more tricks? You beat me up pretty bad, and now you don't even have the guts to finish it off. Yeah, can I see like the angels around me, or?
They are perfectly still. Scrablick is perfectly still. Nothing is moving.
I guess I'm going to take a step to the side, so I'm no longer between the two fists. That feels sensible. And assuming nothing around is moving, I'm just gonna rush forward and kind of go to probably Leica's body and just look it over and, you know, a bit of just dismay, kind of look at what's happened. How did life get to this point?
She's gone to a better place, if that comforts you, though I'm not sure it will.
Who's that? I'm about done with this.
From behind you, you see a figure wearing a white mask, just standing there, looking at you.
Right, what's going on here? Are you with these strange winged fellas? These angels?
I'm not with them. I'm not really with anybody, to be honest.
And would you care to explain what on earth's been going on today? I've been smacking some bloke about who just doesn't even seem to feel it. These things are made out of some sort of pottery or whatever. Stronger than any bloody thing I've ever fought before. And I've been tricked again by that idiot car. I've lost everything that I held dear to me. And I've just about, damn it, near lost my own head.
I can help you get some of that back, if you want to.
Right. I do want to. Which part of it?
Well, some of them. If we can find them, it won't be easy.
I assume there'd be work involved and whatnot.
Quite. Quite.
You said she's gone to a better place.
Yes. Unlike the others, though. Very much unlike the others.
I see. Well, if Leica's in a better place, she's probably safer there than she ever was with me. I don't know what she did sticking around, to be honest. Silly fool. If the others are not in a better place, then they're probably the ones as I should go after. If that's what you're suggesting.
He reaches out his hand.
Who are you? What do I call you?
Can we talk somewhere else? It's very difficult to stop these things from killing us.
Aye, right. Yeah. Yeah, I'll take his hand. Somewhat tentatively.
As the two of you touch, he looks at you. My name is Timon. And with a burst of fluorescent grey light. Hope you enjoyed the session, guys.